started 10 new series, but the question is, will I like any of them enough to carry on the series? Hi everyone, I'm the Crazy Cat Lady and I read books. Now the first book I read in the series was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I should probably preface this by saying this is not the type of book I would normally pick up for myself, but because I've seen so many booktubers glowing reviews about it, I was really intrigued. Okay, well maybe I'm missing out. So this is exactly why I picked up this book. This book is about Knox and Naomi. Naomi comes into town. She's a runaway bride, essentially, but she had a call from her twin sister asking her for help. So she comes into town to come and help her sister, but bumps into Knox, who is completely obnoxious, rude, a complete commitment phobe, etc. And that is the start of the book. I really actually quite liked the start of the book. It was I'd say kind of a unique way to start the book. Basically, like I said, Naomi is a runaway bride, so she's just left her fiance, her wedding, to come and help out her sister, who's obviously asked for her help. However, her sister is essentially a criminal, and when Naomi gets there, she actually realises her sister has stolen Naomi's car, her money, but not only that, she's left her with a niece that she didn't realise that she had, who's I think about 11 years old, so it's a complete shock to her. And that's how the story starts. She bumps into Knox, who kind of is everywhere she goes within the town. Basically, after the starting of the story, Naomi has to be stable, I guess, for her niece. She needs to find her somewhere to stay, she needs to get a job, and all those things you need to do if you're kind of a guardian for a young person, essentially. And at the root of all this, Knox is. I'm just going to say it. I don't get the hype about Knox. He's rude, he's vile, he's just a horrible, horrible character, and I don't understand why he gets so much love in the reviews. I'm like, why do people like to read about someone like this chap? I mean, he's just so obnoxious, he is so rude, he's a complete commitment phobe, and he's just so rude towards Naomi. I wouldn't say Naomi's much better. I mean, she's sassy, she's a complete coffee addict, which is done in quite a pathetic way, I would say, as in she just can't function without her coffee and her strong coffee. And I didn't like the characters in this book, I'll be perfectly honest. I did like the actual story within it. Like I said, you know, the main story is Naomi's now looking after her niece. She's got to get a job, all of those kind of things to make sure she's stable to look after her niece, because her sister's God knows where. So I liked that side of the story, but I didn't like the two main characters, especially Knox. I won't repeat again, but he had no redeeming qualities. I don't understand the fascination with him. I don't understand the attraction to him from Naomi's side, apart from, you know, the negative effect when, let's say a man, for example, if a man is rude towards you, you find him attractive. It's like, I don't like reading about that in books. I just really didn't like him in the book, and that overall is how I feel. However, there's more than that. There are so many, let's say, intimate scenes, but the way they're described was icky to me. I didn't enjoy it. I'm not particularly a spice person. I don't mind a bit, but I'm more of a doors closed kind of book person in regards to romance scenes. This is fully out in the open. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of talk of it. Obviously, if that doesn't bother you, then that's great. But to me, I don't need that in a book. I found it really crass, I'll be perfectly honest. There's also a lot of period talk, and I'm surprised I have to say this on camera. There's a lot of period talk. As a woman, and I'm sure even worse for men, I don't need that in a book. It's like, oh, all the waitresses have their period throughout the week, so they know they're going to be grumpy. Seriously? I mean, I'm really surprised a woman wrote that, I'll be perfectly honest. So what else do I have to say about it? I think I've been clear. Don't like the main characters. Don't like the intimate scenes and how they are written about and described. Almost DNF'd it because of that and the fact I really don't like Knox as a character. I don't understand the attraction, and I really don't understand the reviews that are positive towards this book. I did like the story. I did like the underlying story of Naomi coming to her niece's rescue, but also her basically evil twin sister. I liked that. I liked that background story, which obviously as the story goes on you find out more what happens within that. And I do say I did actually like the kind of the epilogue of the story. I actually really quite liked, so that kind of made up for it. But I will say again, I did almost DNF this as someone who doesn't like spy scenes and also does not like insufferable characters. I did almost DNF this quite early on. My rating for this was 2.5. I have the Audible books and currently on Kindle Unlimited the follow-on books, so I could obviously read or I could listen to both the follow-on books in the series. I don't think I will. Obviously it focuses on different characters. I do know that much about them and that's all I know about them, but the fact is I kind of feel like if this book almost pushed me to DNF it, I don't think I'll like the next series, so I don't think I would carry on the series, is the short answer to that. Okay, so the next one I was quite excited to start, The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I was excited because I know that she's very much a Marmite writer to people. People tend to either love or hate her. So far, spoiler alert, I actually really like her writing. I don't understand the other reviews saying her writing's really bad. I don't understand that. I actually think the writing's really interesting, really fast paced, and she definitely has twists within the book that I don't see coming. And anyway, I think I've gone off on a tangent already and I haven't described the book. The book, Millie. Millie is looking for a job and she's applied for a housemaid job, shockingly enough. And she goes to, I think it's the Winchesters, yeah. She goes to the Winchesters' house, applies for the job and gets it. It appears they are the perfect family at the start, and then little things start to happen and Millie's questioning what's going on, understandably. Nina, the wife of the family, seems very unstable at the start. You know, first of all there's little things and then there's other things. And I can't obviously say too much, but she appears to get more unstable as time goes on. Cecilia, the daughter, is basically a spoilt little brat, and then there's the husband, and I've forgotten his name already. It doesn't matter. But anyway, the husband seems the most normal of them all. And that's how the story starts, and like I've said, things kind of ramp up. At some point, Millie realises that her bedroom, which is, I think, in the attic or the loft, whatever you want to call it, the only lock is on the outside. So you can probably see where that is going. Yeah, there's not much else I can say, obviously, but that is kind of the thing. It ramps up the suspense and the intrigue within the story. But also, Millie has a secret of herself, which obviously I won't go into. So there we go. Like I said, I actually really enjoyed the book. I don't understand the other reviews that are very negative towards the book. Obviously some books are just not people's style, and that's fine. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked the fast pace of it. I really liked the writing. Even though Millie's not exactly what I would call a likeable character, you do kind of feel suspense for her, and more than anything you're kind of rooting for her. But like I said, she's not exactly what I would call a likeable character, but then none of them are in the book, quite frankly. End of the day, I actually really enjoyed the book, and I gave it 4 stars, and I would be happy to carry on the series to see where it goes. But at the same time, although the book sets it up for the next story in the series, I do kind of feel like, does it really need the next one in the series? So I'm actually quite intrigued to find out whether I would like the next one in the series. There you go. Right, so the next one is, it's actually been on my bookshelf for a while. Am I Normal by Holly Bourne. Now, this centres on Evie, and she's kind of coming back from mental health issues, essentially. And I would point out trigger warnings. For example, she has OCD. She's kind of getting back to normal, and she's doing therapy, and she's currently on medication, and they're trying to reduce it. And all she wants is to be a normal teenager, understandably. So she wants a boyfriend, she wants, you know, to go to college and have a really nice time. And this very much does remind me of My Mad Fat Diary, I think it's called. I think I only watched the series, I don't think I've read the book, but it reminds me of that to a degree. I really enjoyed the book. However, I would say I don't think it's geared towards my age range. I do think it's more geared towards young adults in particular, but not young adults. It does actually say on here, content is not suitable for younger readers, so take from that what you will. I will try and find there are, which I really like, I don't know if you can see that, like diary entries that she does throughout the book. And it's a recovery diary, and her thoughts as, you know, as days go on, kind of, she's, like I said, she's reducing her medication. She does write within the book good thoughts and bad thoughts, as in, these are good things that I'm thinking about, these are bad things I shouldn't be thinking about, and how she feels overall. I really like that within the story. I think that's really interesting. And yeah, kind of, it's very much a teenager's life, but with the element of quite a lot of OCD and mental health issues. I actually think, surprisingly, this is a really good book for younger people to read, because in this day and age especially, we're very much more aware of mental health and mental health issues. But not only that, there's not so much stigma around it, which is brilliant, as opposed to obviously where there was quite a lot of stigma, you know, even a few years ago. I think this is a really important book, and I would pick it up if you're in that kind of age range. Not only that, it does have feminism within it, and I really like that, especially as a young woman. I think it's really important to talk about that, you know, what women are seen as in society, and sometimes it's quite negative, and it shouldn't be, quite frankly. I actually think this is a really good book. I rated it a 4 for this book. Now, I do know the next one in the series is about one of her friends, so it doesn't focus on Evie, and I don't feel the need to carry on the book, but that's not to say that this book isn't a really good book. Like I said, I rated it a 4. Okay, so the next one is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, if you aren't aware, Jennifer wrote the Natural series, which I have done a review on, the complete Natural series, so I'll try and put a card up here so you can go on to there if you want to, after this video, obviously. Right, now, Avery. This is an interesting one. Avery and her sister, Libby I think it is, they are basically broke and they're kind of living paycheck to paycheck. At one point, Avery even sleeps in her car, and all of a sudden she finds out that she's inherited a billionaire's money and his compound, you know, his house and all that. And she doesn't know who it is. She doesn't know who this chap is who's given her billions of pounds, essentially. There is a twist. She has to move into the house, the compound, with the rest of his family, the billionaire's family, and she has to stay there, I think, for at least a year, with them living there. Now, obviously, they're pretty annoyed that their inheritance has gone to this person that even they don't know who she is. So it's all a bit tense, let's say. However, although that's kind of the story, the main theme of the book is let's call him the granddad. The granddad, who's obviously given Avery the money, he was very much into like puzzles, and hence the games part of this book. And he's left various puzzles throughout the house and in regards to the will in particular, and they're trying to work out the underlying question, which is, why has Avery been left this money? I do know some people are quite into some of the boys within the story. In particular, there's Grayson and Jameson. I was really looking forward to reading this because obviously I really enjoyed the Natural series, and I thought it would probably go into this book how I felt about most of the Natural series. I did enjoy it, but not as much as I thought I would enjoy it. And I was actually a bit disappointed. It had such a strong premise to the book, as in some random person has left you this money. You have no idea why, and she's got to try and work out why. But that bit is the disappointing bit for me. All these games, all these puzzles, they fell a bit flat for me. There are suspenseful moments, but I wasn't that bothered by them. I wasn't that bothered by the games, and I do think perhaps if this was done televisually, it would actually work maybe a bit better. Maybe I just didn't see the games in my head. I didn't get... Well, it's not that I didn't get it, it's just I didn't think it was that interesting, if I was perfectly honest. And yeah, I essentially was really looking forward to reading it. Was quite disappointed with the outcome. My cat's just walked in in the room. I rated this a 3.5. Yeah, I was... Can you see his tail? Come here. He wants to star in it. He wants to star in the video. Hello. Yeah, so I rated it 3.5. I was disappointed with this book. That's not to say it's not a good book. It's just, I felt like it could have been so much better from my point of view. So yeah, that's why I was disappointed. I had high expectations, essentially, and it didn't live up to what I thought it would be. The next one I actually read on the Kindle, and it was Truly Devious. Stevie Bell has been inducted, I guess, accepted into the Ellingham Academy, and it's renowned for kind of accepting creative people, really intelligent people. So obviously it's quite a prestigious acceptance. if that makes sense. So she's really looking forward to going. Also, in the past, the owner, well, the person who set the school up, I think his name's Albert Ellingham, his wife and daughter disappeared, and I think one of them was found, unfortunately. I think you understand what I mean by that. There's always been a question mark what happened and how that happened. So it starts off, Stevie's really into crime, like I think in particular podcasts, and she wants to solve this age-old mystery within the school, and that's kind of what she plans to do while she's there. And that's kind of how the story starts. And then there's loads of obviously different characters. There's her classmates who are there for different things. For example, one's there because he's a film star, or he's, you know, within television projects, and he's quite famous essentially. There's other people, obviously there's different characters. I really enjoyed this book. I liked the fact that obviously there's the age-old mystery, but there's also a mystery in Stevie's timeline where something happens to one of her classmates and they don't know whether it was premeditated by someone or whether it was an accident. So you've got two kind of mysteries going on, and I've just realised my cat has come in with mud. He must have muddy paws, and it is now all over my jeans. I don't know if you can see the top. Can you see that? Oh dear. Okay, the joys of cats and living near muddy fields. Right, so yes, I really liked Truly Devious. It was a really good book. I liked the writing. I thought the pacing was great. The writing was... I don't want to say great again. The writing was really good. Now, that's not to say everything about it was my cup of tea. I don't like it when a book in a series doesn't answer at least most of the questions that starts off in the series, in the book. And this book does not answer, let's say, some of the questions, at least. So you kind of feel like, oh, well, I've got to carry on the series. And I don't like that. I don't mind having, for example, one little mystery being in the next series, because then it's like, oh, well, there's still some mystery regarding that. And but yeah, I don't like the fact that it's left everything basically still a mystery. It's not answered any questions, and that is the big con to this book, which is a shame. If it had answered maybe one of the questions, then I would feel differently about it. But anyway, it is a good book. That's the downside of it. Like I said, there's a lot of positives to this book. I did really enjoy reading it. I rated it a 4.25, and I would be happy to carry on the series to see what the next one is like. Okay, so after Truly Devious, I read You by Caroline Kepnes. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. Now, I have a bit of, obviously, inside information because I have watched the series up to a certain point in series 3. So I kind of knew what this book was about. Joe Goldberg is essentially a stalker. He sees Guinevere Beck, who is the female main character, and decides obviously he wants to kind of be in a relationship with her, so he essentially starts stalking her. Joe's very pretentious, and kind of he thinks he's better than everyone else, and he thinks people are a bit stupid, so he thinks he's better than everyone else, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. He's not a likeable character. It's a dark book, it's a thrilling book, it's suspenseful, and everything you would imagine in kind of like a stalkery book. So the main point of the story is Joe is trying to be in a relationship with Beck. He calls her you, hence the title, You. He will say, instead of saying, oh, Beck lies down on the bed, he says, you lie down on the bed. And that is probably because most of the time, from his point of view, he's watching her. He is watching her through her window. He's watching her go to her college classes, and so on. Now, I thought, because of the series, I would really like this book. I didn't. Within the series, within the TV series, yes, obviously, it is essentially the same as the book. I won't say it's not. But you kind of... He's a lot more charming in the TV show. Joe in the book is really kind of insufferable. And so is Guinevere Beck, you know, the person that he is trying to get in a relationship with. They're both horrible people, quite frankly. And I know obviously a stalker's not meant to be a nice person, don't get me wrong. But the TV series did it so well in regards to, he's a stalker obviously, but you kind of root for him because he's quite charming, he's quite attractive, and it comes across in the TV series much better than it does in the book. In the book, I just did not like him. There's also a lot of spice scenes, but not only spice scenes, a lot of, let's call it, self-love scenes, and self-love scenes that are being watched as well. I don't need that in a story. That is not appealing to me. Again, obviously, I personally prefer kind of closed door. This was too much for me. I wasn't in any way interested in those scenes. Let's put it like that. Like I said, I really thought I'd like this more than I did. I really didn't like it. So much to the point that I won't carry this series on. And I am saying that as someone who has, I think, the next 2 books in the series already. I think I bought 3 at once a while ago. I'm just going to kind of unhaul them. It's not for me. The writing is not for me. The intense spice scenes, I don't like the main characters. I obviously... yeah. Yeah, no, it's not for me. I rated it a 2.5, and I think even now, possibly it's a bit generous, but that's what I've put, so I'm going to stick to it. Yeah, trigger warnings in regards to this book though as well, because Joe is a stalker, but not only that, he does things to kind of bring Beck his way. Let's say it like that. Obviously, I don't want to say any more because it does ruin the story, but it's called a dark, suspenseful thriller for a reason. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so the next one is Flawed by Cecilia Ahern. I've had this on my shelf for probably years now, and it's always been one of those books I wanted to pick up and I just didn't. Basically, for a start, the main character, love the name, Celestine, no, I didn't even say that right, Celestine North. I think that's a brilliant name. Within their society, there are perfects, this is people, perfects or flawed. And the flawed live to different rules than the perfects do, as in they can only eat certain meals and they can't do some of the things that the perfect people can. Yeah, so I thought it was quite an intriguing kind of society values kind of book. So essentially what happens is one day Celestine makes a mistake, and the book is what happens in the fallout. My other cat's just come in the room. Larry! Larry! Come to mama. Hi. baby girl. Yay! Say hello. Anyway, Celestine makes a mistake, and it's the fallout of her making this. Cats doing stuff. It's the fallout of what happens after Celestine makes this mistake. Essentially, is she going to go to prison? Is she going to be named flawed? Or is she kind of going to be cleared of this? What's the word? Is she going to be cleared of being a flawed? Essentially. I did like the book, but not as much as I thought I would, because it really, really does focus on the politics of the flawed society and how the people in power kind of run the society. I think this book would have been perfect. I think this book would have been a lot better if it focused more on the life as a flawed person. I think that would have been a lot more interesting than the fallouts of the politics of the society. I don't, that's not to say there isn't a place within the story that they could have had a bit of a focus on it, but to me what would have made this more interesting is Celestine or whoever, their life as a flawed person as opposed to the politics surrounding it. So I did enjoy it. I rated it 3.5, no, I rated it a 3.75, so I did enjoy it, but I don't feel the need to carry the series on. I get the gist of it. I'm not interested in the follow-up to it, essentially. Then the next book I read was Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, I think it's called, by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I think I'll put it up on the screen. I had again seen this book in reviews and it's quite well liked, and I think they had quite high reviews on the book as well. It's essentially about Rowan, and she's very much a kind of overachiever. She's vying for the spot of valedictorian in their school, but she's got like a, I don't want to say an enemy, but kind of Neil McNair is her competition, I think is probably the best way to put it. Neil is her competition, and sometimes she wins, sometimes he wins, but there's always kind of like some academic competition between them, and it's kind of like dislike between them as well because of this competition. Those are the main characters. The plot of the story kind of essentially is it's their last day of school, so they name valedictorian, but what always happens for the seniors, obviously the people who are leaving, are they have a game called Howl. I don't know if this is an American thing or that's just what the authors named it within the story. It's called Howl, and it's essentially like a really hyped up scavenger hunt around I think it's Seattle City. So they're doing a scavenger hunt around the city. They've got to take pictures of, let's say, a photo from a tall height is an example. They've got to take a photo from a really tall height within the scavenger hunt, but at the same time they've got to kill their fellow classmates by taking off armbands that they've got around them. Whoever kind of kills their other opponents and also obviously gets all the photos wins, if that makes sense. If I said that clear enough. I hope I said it clear enough. I really like the scavenger hunt part in this book. I found it such an interesting plot point. And essentially what happens is these two academic rivals have to team up. And as you can imagine, throughout this hyped up scavenger hunt, which by the way has been known to be which has been known to carry on for, I think they say 4 days or something, so it's not necessarily done within a few hours. It can be up to 4 days by the time someone's won. they team up and it's kind of their time together, forced proximity, what happens essentially. And yeah, I really liked the book. I liked, like I said, the Howl scavenger hunt, and I like the fact they get to know each other more due to the forced proximity. There's also the main character Rowan really likes romance novels, and she gets a lot more confidence in regards to that. There is interesting observations about female in society, which again I think is really important within books, because of how sometimes women can be seen in society. Yeah, essentially, really liked the book. I rated it a 3.75, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, but yet again, I don't feel the need to carry on the series. I think it was a really great kind of standalone book. Don't feel the need to carry it on. The only cons I would say about this book for me is, one, it is kind of more, again, not my age, it's kind of younger. It's a young adult story. And you know, sometimes, let's say 13 Reasons Why, if you've read that book or seen the series, it's very mature themes. This one was not. It was very more younger themes. So I don't feel it's my age range. And also, I do understand the other people in the reviews that I've seen. They feel like the romance within the book it goes too quickly and too kind of deep for, let's say, within 24 hours for the time they're together. And I agree. I don't feel like within that time period they would have such a major romance between themselves within that time period. But yet again, did like the book, but I don't feel the need to carry on the series, essentially. Okay. So the next book is, again, something that's been on my bookshelf for quite a while. A Proper Family Holiday by Chrissy Manby. The plot of this book is, there's Ronnie and Chelsea, two sisters within the Benson family. Very different lives. For example, Ronnie is the mother of two kids, and she had her first one when she was about 16, so she's a young mother as well. And she's got a partner that she's been with since the start. And there's Chelsea, who is single, would like a romance. Trigger warnings. She does have a disorder of some kind, so if you think that might affect you, you might want to look at the trigger warnings. Essentially, their mum wants to have a last kind of family holiday. The sisters are, let's say, around 32-ish years old. Yeah, their mum and dad wants to have like the last family holiday. The sisters haven't spoken in 2 years. Her mum kind of wants them to make up because, you know, time is fleeting, essentially. I would say that's essentially the plot line, as in it's a holiday, and, you know, the kind of things that happen on holiday. It very much, I don't watch it, I'd like to point out, but it gives me the vibes of Benidorm, and, you know, it's just kind of like family holiday with kind of ups and downs, hijinks, and I actually like this more than I thought I would. I thought it'd be very mid-tier, which I've said before, mid-tier, I don't mean it's bad, as in it's more kind of like average. There's nothing special about it, nothing unique about it, which sort of can be applied to this book, but I liked it more than I thought I would. I have gone around that in a really stupid way. Take from it, I liked it more than I thought I would, okay? It's kind of that they're having a week's holiday, the family ups and downs, the dramas. There are, like I said, not all happy storylines. I wouldn't say there's anything, well, there's nothing I would say dark, let's put it like that, but there is definitely potential within the story. So it's not all happy, but it is essentially a happy book, if that makes sense. I rated it a 3.75. Like I said, I actually enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. and I would be happy to carry on this series. So yeah, that's what I think about it. 3.75, happy to carry on the series. So the last book, the 10th book, is one I have seen, I think, really good reviews about. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is a very interesting story. Atlas Blakely, he is the caretaker of the Alexandrian society, and they have access to all these ancient scriptures, etc. I need to word this better, but basically I'm going to read the back of the book because there's a lot of characters and it says it so much better than I would say it. So Libby Rhodes and Nico de Verona are inseparable enemies and cosmologists who can control matter with their minds. Parisa Kamali is a telepath. Raina Mori understands the flow of life itself, and Callum Nova can manipulate desires. Finally, there's Tristan Kane, whose powers mystify even himself. The rivals must survive their trials, and if they can prove themselves, they will. Most of them. These 6 characters are kind of inducted to this society. However, I say that they are possible. They are possibly going to be initiated. This is kind of like it's kind of the initiation, whether they will get into this really powerful society. And there are six characters. There are 5 places within the society. And I don't think it's any surprise, but let's say only 5 of them can survive. So, yeah, they don't necessarily know that at the start. I really liked the idea of this book. I really liked the magic side. I really liked the different characters and their different powers. And I will do some quotes because there's one I really like, particularly at the start of the book in regards to the library. So I was really looking forward to reading this book. But I did almost DNF this book. And a lot of it was down to the talk. And it's mainly talk about, let's say, intimacy and, and that kind of thing. There's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of talk about spice and... yeah. I will go again and say, I don't mind a bit. Don't have an issue with a bit. But it came like such a long running theme at parts of the book. I was just like, I just don't know if I want to carry on reading this. It was very... One of the characters can kind of manipulate people's emotions, strokes, thoughts. And she's what you would kind of call a siren, I guess. Not officially, but as in she can attract you. And it's a lot to do with spice and intimacy talks, and I just did not need that, quite frankly. And I feel like it ruined part of the book for me. I can understand as that character having some of that talk in there, and like I said, I don't mind some, but it came like such a running theme that it was just so salacious and it was so over the top, and I felt kind of really icky and grossed out by it, I'll be perfectly honest. That's the downside. Yeah, like I said, there was a lot in this book to like. I liked the magic, I liked the characters, I did, but they're not likeable characters. They are what I would say nearly all unlikable characters, but with good parts to them. So they're quite flawed characters. I found it really interesting, their kind of backgrounds, their powers, and also like the society itself and the characters within the society as well. But I wanted to like it much more than I did like it. I was disappointed. I do understand why it's had some good reviews, absolutely. And I do understand if other people don't like it. I can see both sides of the coin personally. It's very tricky. I found this really tricky to rate this, and I think I went for 3.75 in the end. The big question is whether I feel I liked it enough to carry on the series, because I do have the next book in the series already. I'm not sure is the answer. I might give it a go, but this is one of those types of books that I also don't necessarily feel an overwhelming urge to read the next one in the series. Yeah, so there you go. That is my review of the 10 series that I have started. So the overall answer to the question is, how many out of the 10 series am I going to carry on specifically? So I'm just going to count that up right now. Okay, so not forgetting the Kindle one, so there was today, tonight, tomorrow. I don't feel the need to carry on that series. However, if I see it perhaps 99p on Kindle, I might get it. But I don't feel like, oh, I have to go out and buy this book. The other one on Kindle was Truly Devious. I will, and I do want to carry on this series. I really enjoyed the writing. I really enjoyed the plot line, the setting. I liked the Ellingham Academy, the mysteries. The only thing that, like I said, put me off was the fact that it didn't answer really any of the main questions, which I found quite annoying, but I liked the book enough that I would like to carry on the series. So then, I think going in order, is this going in order? Yeah. The Housemaid, I want to carry on the series. Like I said, I don't know if necessarily it needs the next one in the series, but the way the book left it, I'm a bit intrigued with how it carries on. So I would like to read the next one in the series, and I do actually have the next book already, so I will read it at some point. The Inheritance Games. This wasn't my favourite, like I said in the reviews. I expected more of it, but I would like to carry on the series to see what happens next, essentially. Like I said, I read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I really enjoyed it, so I'd be interested whether I like the next one more. That's not to say I didn't like this one, just kind of I expected more and it didn't live up to my expectations, essentially. I think I already have the next book in this story, A Proper Family Holiday by Chrissy Manbury. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I thought it was a nice family drama, essentially, but it was kind of just like, well, a family going on holiday, and that's what it was. And a normal family, the ups and downs, relationships wise, liked it more than I thought I would, so I would go on to read the next one in the series. And the last one, like I said, I don't have the overwhelming urge that I have to read the next book, but I am intrigued. I can't remember whether I said in my review, but I did almost DNF it due to the over-the-top talk about intimacy and spice scenes. So it's a bit of a tricky one for me. I like the essential elements of the story, the magic, the society, and so on. But yeah, some of the elements within the story, a lot of talk of the intimacy and the spice, put me off a lot. Yeah, so I do think I will carry on. I do have the next book already, but it is also one that I don't necessarily feel like I want to pick up straight away. So there we go. I think it's 5. There's 5 books, possibility of 6, today, tonight, tomorrow, if I see it at 99p on the Kindle, but I don't have an overwhelming urge to get it. So 6 out of 10, that's not too bad, I think. So the ones I don't feel like I want to are You, very crass, a lot of spice scenes, really unlikable characters, don't feel the need to carry it on, gonna unhaul the books, and the the next ones in the series that I have. Flawed. I did like the book, but wasn't as interested when I realised it was all about the politics as opposed to what happened to Celestine if she was going to be a flawed person. I think it would have been much more interesting if it had been about her life as a flawed person. Her life as a flawed person. Am I normal yet? I thought this was a really important book, especially for younger people, not for my age range. There are trigger warnings, like in regards to mental health, but I thought it did it really well. There's also really important, like, feminist themes within the book, which I really liked. It's a different character in the next book. I don't feel the need to carry on, but that's not to say I didn't like the book. I did like the book. Things we never got over. I really didn't like the book. Really didn't like the book. And I don't feel the need to carry on. Annoyingly, I did buy on Audible the next 2 books because they were on sale, I think. So I have no doubt at some point I will carry them on, but I don't have any urge to carry on, especially not at the moment. So yeah, I probably won't carry on, at least not for a while. So that is my rundown of the 10 series that I've started. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've read any of them and either agree or disagree with my thoughts on the books, I would love to know. Please comment below. Subscribe and like if you have enjoyed the video. That would really help out my channel and help me grow. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one, I hope. Thanks everybody. Goodbye.